Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the Startup Operator podcast. My guest today is Kiran Kalakuntla, who's the founder CEO of EconCare. EconCare is an integrated healthcare platform. I wanted to talk to Kiran because, like some of the other healthcare entrepreneurs I've spoken to earlier on the podcast, you might remember Vivek of AltLife or RV of Healthy. Uh, Kiran doesn't come from a healthcare background. And I'm always curious about how such founders solve in this highly specialized domain with first principles. So, in this podcast, you'll hear about how Kiran uses his product marketing experience and brings to light principles like target segmentation, minimum viable product, or jobs to be done to solve for things in healthcare. So, listen in and let me know what you think. This episode is brought to you by Mulya. You want to move fast? Sure. But without breaking things? Now that's a hard ask. The thing is, once you have some base of users and customers, you just cannot afford to risk quality. So how do the likes of Cred, Swiggy and CureFit, some of India's fastest growing startups, ship at lightning pace and delight their users and customers? Simple, they're working with Mulya as a strategic quality partner. Mulya is India's most talented and passionate community of testers. They've helped prevent thousands of bugs and regression issues. So, as a CTO or a product owner, if you want to reduce tech debt, especially while you scale, do check out Mulya.com. I've interviewed Mulya's founder and CEO Pradeep on the podcast earlier, and we spoke about how startups can improve quality while scaling and things to that effect. You should definitely check it out. I'll link to it in the description below. Now back to your regular programming. Welcome, Kiran. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thanks, Roshan. Glad to be here.
For those of us who may not know about EconCare and about yourself, could you just give a little bit of a background as to what your journey has been and, how you've, founded EconCare and so on?
Sure. So I'll first talk about EconCare, right? Because if EconCare is not valuable, then what's the use of my journey to get here, right? So if just talking about EconCare, so we are one of the fastest growing health benefits platform in India. And what I mean by health benefits platform is our mission statement is pretty simple, right? Make corporate India healthy. And how we do it is one corporate at a time, and the way we do it is pretty simple, right? So which is we have a health benefits platform which is connected to 10,000 plus healthcare service providers across India, across 150 cities. And today, when you look at some of these large corporates or medium corporates, right? Anybody whose revenue is about 10 crores per annum, right? They spend a decent portion of their employee health benefits budget towards employee preventive health, right? Employee, you call it wellness and all. But the problem is today there isn't a technology solution or a platform which can actually help administer all these benefits for employees, B, identify where the issues are across the population within the company, C, help improve the employees in terms of their health, so that net, what happens is in the long term, it reduces absenteeism, it increases the productivity of the company, and more importantly, a big portion of health benefits money goes into Mediclaim, which is a health insurance policy, right? And the claims are, if you look at the industry today, the average loss ratio, which is for every 100 rupees that the company, the insurance company gets from a corporate India, they end up paying around 106 rupees. So they are losing money when it comes to group insurance policy. So that is kind of controlled through all this mechanism. Right? So we work with more than 250 companies, more than 300,000 lives. The beauty about what we do at EconCare is A, we are helping individuals stay healthy. B, we are helping companies stay productive so the economy kicks in. And 3, at the same time, it's one of the best places to be in where you're helping individuals stay healthy at the same time making money. Right? So that's what EconCare does. And how we got here is pretty interesting, right? So I'm not from a healthcare background. I'm a mechanical engineer, right? And I did my management in the US. I spent a lot of time, almost 10 years in telecommunications industry in the US, and primarily as a product marketing guy, product development guy, working for multiple companies in the US, right? But the journey started as a personal pain problem wherein my parents who were back in India, right? They were going through a healthcare crisis, and I didn't have a way to actually contribute towards their healthcare journey. And that's when we started building. That's when I took a sabbatical, moved back to India for a year, started tinkering with the technology, the concept. And what I did was I called up my friends at Microsoft, at Google, and asked them, hey, I'm trying to do this. You already have a very established healthcare records uh, product, right? There was Health Vault, Microsoft Health Vault. Google had another product. I said, can I borrow this product and put a wrapper around it and distribute it in India, right? But unfortunately, the product was very, very robust, right? Which is all they did was it's just like a Google document, right? You could put in your medical records into that vault, and it just sat there doing nothing, right? But for a non-healthcare person like me who actually has to understand and help in contributing the journey, the platform also has to speak back to me saying, hey, Kiran, you put in these records. From these records, I've identified these are the risks. And because of these risks, these are three things that you should do. And here's how you should do. And by the way, here's how you can improve your health, right? It's like there wasn't Google Picasa for health records, right? And that's when we started building eKinCare as a health records remote monitoring platform with health records as a platform. And then what we realized is over a period of time, it's that product market fit, right? Where you go one place and then you get kicked and then you realize, no, this is not the right direction. Then you move into another direction. We went B2C. We realized that consumers are used to free cloud services, right? Picasa is free, Kindle is free, right? Most of the cloud services that you see, right? It's free. So we didn't see a way to actually make money unless you put in a lot more capital, right? And that's when we pivoted and we identified there's a bigger pain problem, bigger opportunity when it comes to corporate India. Because if you look at it, there are 73 million employees or lives that are privately insured in corporate India today. And if you look at it, the market size when it comes to just corporate India, right? It's who are spending on employee health apart from Mediclaim is close to $500 million market. It's surprising. Nobody actually assumes that it's such a big market, but it is being spent. I've had clients who are spending close to 10,000 rupees per employee per annum. Now you multiply that across roughly 73 million employees out there. Even if you take an average, that's how much companies are spending. And we are trying to consolidate that entire ecosystem on one side with the employees, on the other side with the healthcare service providers, on the third side with the payers, which is the HR, corporates, and the insurance companies.
So who is your ideal customer like? Who's your ideal corporate customer like? And what is the pain point specifically for that person that you're solving for? And how do they budget for eKinCare at this point?
So so we don't go after the large enterprise, right? We don't go after the behemoths, right? Because as a growing company, we have certain rules. So we focus on mid-market enterprises, right? Typically 500 to 2,000 employee companies, right? And these companies, like I said earlier, these companies who are earning more than 10 crore per annum in terms of revenue, right? These are the companies who have the luxury to spend towards employee health, right? And these are the companies that we go after. And typically what we've seen is the average spend towards the eKinCare side of the budget is close to around 3 to 5% of the total benefits budget.
Right.
And that's how we look at the market size.
Right. So instinctively, when you say, healthier employees are happier employees, ergo more productive employees and so on, it obviously makes sense, right? I mean, I don't think anybody will disagree with this. But budgeting for that and, actually mapping it to some kind of a revenue-based impact and so on and so forth is often not so straightforward, right?
Correct.
So why would an HR or someone use EconCare versus something else, right? Versus spending on something else?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the point, on the head with this question, right? So I'll explain, right? So today, every company wants to improve their employee health, right? Like you rightly said, happy employee is happier company, better productivity, better outcomes, right? But the problem that existed in the market before EconCare is, let's say, Roshan, you are the CEO of a company, right? Let's say you have a 500 employee company. You want to spend, let's say, 20 lakhs towards your employee health, right? Preventive health. But the problem that you foresee is, if I spend this 20 lakhs towards the employees, how do I quantify the return on investment, right? How do I justify? I mean, are employees really happy? Has the health improved, right? Where do I need to focus next year to actually compound interest in terms of those 20 lakhs that I spent? None of that is quantified today, right? And that is where EconCare has 4 global patents, wherein it is not just the platform and the service providers and the application. We have technology, proprietary technology, where we extract the data from these service providers. So for example, today if you go to a diagnostic center across anywhere in India, right? And let's say one of your employees, right? You are a CEO of a 500 employee company. Your employee takes a picture of their medical record. The platform extracts the data from those images, right? And your 20 lakhs that you're spending giving a free health checkup for all your 500 employees across 150 cities, because now it's COVID, everybody's working from home. There could be even in a tier 4 city, right? When they take a picture or go use one of those benefit, all that data is flowing back into a central repository from which we have built a relative model, like an open graph model, wherein from which we are able to say, Roshan, by the way, your employee overall health score, your company health score is 630 because of your base, because your height and age can't be changed after a certain age. Your ideal score should be 700. And here are the reasons why your score is being pulled down. Your 30 to 70 year employee or 30 to 50 year employees have lower activity and higher risk of cardiovascular disease versus 20 to 30 years who actually are having higher activity but are having more infections. So that's the level of insights. Now, once we have that level of macro data, right, we are able to go in and say, okay, we are going to do an intervention only for 20 to 30 age group employees to reduce infections, right? In terms of educating them about various infections during various seasons, right? 30 to 50 age employees, we would do stepathon activities where we would drive motion, right, activity across this age group. Net, what happens is over a period of time, the overall health score of the company goes up, right? Because we know exactly what the pain point is and where to focus. That's the beauty of data science, right? So it's not just services, it's not the platform, it's not just the technology. There's a data science layer as well that we use towards improving the health.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting that you are translating all of this data into actionable insights, right? And showing some kind of impact and outcome. So it's easily quantifiable for someone and, easy to budget as well. So, let's take a step back and look at solving for healthcare, right? And I've had, 3 or 4 healthcare entrepreneurs on the podcast before. And incidentally, I think most of them, in fact, none of them were from a medical background per se, right? So I think what happens is you look at things with fresh eyes and you have an outsider's perspective of things and you realize, man, there's so many things that are broken out there. And, why can't I apply myself and solve some things, right? But then you get down to actually doing it and then realize, hey, hang on. I mean, it's not as simple as I thought. So right? What were those one or two things that kind of hit you as a surprise when you started solving for this market?
Very interesting, right? So before I started, I had this dilemma, right? Huge dilemma whether I should even get into this industry, because I'm not from a healthcare background. None of my family members are from healthcare, right? So would there, and I just moved back from US, so I don't have a network here in India to be able to piggyback on, right? Huge dilemma, right? And interestingly, NephroPlus founder was at one of the conferences, right? We startup weekend conferences, and he gave I happened to speak to him, and his advice was the same what you said, right? It gives you a fresh perspective, new set of eyes to look at a problem differently, right? And that's when I realized let's get in with head. Let's dive with our head in, right? And same thing, right? When I started working on this, right, building a technology, building a platform for somebody who's worked in launched more than 30 products is not difficult, right? But once I started building the platform, I realized, okay, if you actually look at it, there is no medical standardization in India, right? TOT cholesterol, or some report says total cholesterol, some report says TCHL, right? There are hundreds, if not thousands of such abbreviations, right? So having the domain knowledge to be able to identify, these three mean the same, and being able to identify what that relates to the next logical comorbidity and all of that was starting to become difficult, right?
Right.
And that's when I realized my weakness, my pain points. I'm good at product, I'm good at technology, I'm good at marketing, taking them to the market, GTM. We onboarded a doctor, right? So we brought in a doctor who was passionate about doing something on the technology side to fix the system, right? And Dr. Unnikrishnan was the first doctor that we hired, and he helped us understand the systems, understand the data and all of that. And we realized it's an ocean, right? Healthcare is an ocean. And that's how today we have a team of 14 doctors on eKinCare, full-time on eKinCare payroll. Every little code that we write, every little medical terminology that we do, it is actually double-checked by our doctor team before it goes into production. So it's not just tech guys who are just coding it away. There is actually a clinical third empire who's actually looking at all of this and then validating it, because at the end of the day, healthcare is as sensitive as financial information, right, for an individual. If I say,
even more, one would argue.
Yeah, if I, instead of negative, if I put a positive, it's going to blow somebody's mind for any of the results, right? Take any result, right? So it is very important that it is validated as well. And the domain knowledge came in because of piggybacking on a lot of these doctors, right? You can call me, I'm too dangerous to be called a doctor, but now I know most of the terminologies.
Okay. Hopefully you're not experimenting with too many people outside of your family or friends.
Yeah. So I have a Frankenstein being built in the back end.
Right. So when you talk to, doctors, what is their general attitude towards any kind of innovation, or let's say technology itself and startups and entrepreneurship and things to that effect? I mean, are they open to the fact that, here are guys who probably may not know anything about, their domain, but actually, coming in and trying to solve these challenges and trying to make a difference? What is their general attitude like?
So I'll tell you, there's 50-50, right? So there are both sets of the school, right? There are, for any entrepreneur, it's not, you have to find that, not even 50%, you have to find that 10% who's actually believing in technology, right? And in my early journey, I went and knocked on every damn door out there trying to convince people, because the first biggest challenge that I realized was building a health score, right? With all the information that I'm calculating from activity, from lab reports, from family history, from comorbidity. So it's a dynamic score. when we were building this health score, going to the doctors, knocking on each doctor's door and saying, hey, I've built this score. Me and Dr. Unikrishnan and few other doctors have also validated it. Build the score. Can you see it and see if we are on the right direction, right? Not many doctors were interested in taking the time or actually putting their name across saying, yes, I validated it. But you don't need to boil the ocean. You just need few doctors to believe you first. And those few doctors were tech savvy, because back in the day, interestingly, the profile was any doctor who's actually watching an X-ray on a WhatsApp was my my target doctor, right? Because they are doing their business actually on WhatsApp, consulting on WhatsApp. And those are the doctors that I reached out. And once you reach out to such doctors, once you get some credibility around few doctors, then the rest will follow, right?
Right.
So simple advice, don't don't boil the ocean. Pick that 10%, focus on that 10%, solving the problem for that 10%, and rest will automatically switch over.
Right. So you also work with other stakeholders in the healthcare ecosystem, right? I mean, these could be like payers, as you mentioned, which could be insurance companies and so on. What is your experience with them? I know insurance, again, there are 1,000 solutions that are targeted to insurance right now. There's a massive disruption happening. But how easy or difficult is it to work with these organizations? How open to change are they? And any particular hacks or tips that you can offer to people who are listening?
Sure. I mean, within insurance companies, again, there are like 28 odd insurance companies in India, right? And this goes back to our earlier story, right? In 2017, when we switched to B2B, our focus was, let's get 5 corporates to believe in our story, right? We got first few companies like Unilever, Optum, few of the large logos companies to believe in what we were doing. And we worked really hard to meet their expectations. And once we actually onboarded those 5 companies and met their expectations, we used them as our champions to reach out to another 5 or 10 companies, right? So that's why, healthcare doesn't grow overnight. It's built by trust, and it's one of the slowest industries to grow compared to any other e-commerce or anywhere else. And that's exactly the same scenario when it comes to insurance companies, or that, for that matter, any enterprise company, right? You can't grow from 0 to 100 overnight. You have to first pick your 5. You don't have, again, going back to the same thing, you don't have to convince all the 28 insurance companies. You have to just convince one insurance company, build a pilot with that one insurance company, right, show the case study, right? And then go out to the next 3 insurance companies with a testimonial saying, been there, done that, here's the outcome. Right? And that's the best way to do it, right? Otherwise you would promise too many things which would not pan out.
Right.
The long run.
So, in the course of this conversation, you're getting to hear a lot of core product marketing principles, right? Whether it's, product market fit or sort of an MVP or so on, right?
Right.
Now, for someone who's listening again, who may not, be completely aware about healthcare and so on, right? How does one go about finding product market fit in healthcare, because you can't really do the whole fail fast sort of a thing here, because real life human beings are involved in the whole thing, right? And the risk is huge. So how does one iterate and, meaningfully get to a point of product market fit?
So within healthcare, I wouldn't generalize healthcare everything together, right? Within healthcare, there are clinical side of the healthcare, which is like if you have to develop a vaccine, you go through the whole 9 yards, right? You can't fast forward that, or you can't skip any of the step. Then there are there are people who are manufacturing devices, right? Who are building devices. Even there, you can't fast forward because you need FDA clearance and all. Then there is the other side of the healthcare, which is who's actually consolidating the ecosystem, or building a technology solution for a doctor, or building maybe a convenience for the end user, right? Whether it be teleconsultation, whether it be a doctor appointment engine, whether it be a healthcare platform for us, right? It can still be done in a lean startup methodology way, right? Unlike the
Okay.
clinical side or the medical equipment side, right? For example, when I started EkinCare, right, I didn't start coding and building a platform, didn't even have a website, right? What I did was, okay, if I had to go do a diagnostics, if I have to convince somebody to use the platform for their health checkups, right? And I need to provide a summary of report which is useful for the end user to actually comprehend what's the risk with the individual, right? I just took a printout, went to the individual, I filled out the questionnaire, got the lab report, took the consent of the individual, got the lab report, sat on an Excel sheet, punched the numbers, gave a nice PowerPoint one slider in terms of here's your risks, here's what you need to do, right? All of that. Realize that if that's helpful for the caregiver, right? In this case, the son who's sitting somewhere else, right? And once they said, yeah, this is helpful, actually, can you do this regularly and keep me in loop in terms of what's happening? That's when I realized, okay, there is value in what we're doing, and let's go
Right.
now start writing the code around this, right?
Right.
So MVP is
Interesting.
still possible in areas where you're building convenience, where you're consolidating the market, where you're putting together the marketplace. Not so much on the clinical side, not so much on the medical equipment side, but ancillary, yes, you can still do it.
Okay. And how much of all of this compliance and regulation, things to that effect, really applies to, ancillary solutions like EkinCare?
It does, right? So for example, today we do teleconsulting on the platform, right? So there are strong ICMR guidelines in terms of uh, what we can consult, how to consult, right? Then there are privacy laws, right? So data privacy and security laws in terms of how we who is the owner of the data, how we should store the data, right? Then there is now there are more there are, if we are working with an insurance company, then there is IRDA, which is a regulatory body for insurance. Then there are compliances there. So and then when you're working with the large enterprises, they have their own internal compliances team from data security, privacy, legal, all of this, right? So it's not just, I mean, it does apply, especially when you're working in an enterprise scenario. In a
Right.
B2C scenario, not so many, but there are laws, right? Which is not core healthcare, but like teleconsulting, privacy laws, all of this that you have to take care of.
Right. Now, you are working broadly in the realm of preventive health,
Correct.
and that's something that typically in India we don't really prioritize, right? So we go to the dentist when we already have a cavity, or we visit the doctor when something is already wrong with us, right? We don't have that regular health checkup or being proactive about health as such. Um, do you see this attitude changing? And if not, I mean, what are you doing in order to, nudge people towards being more proactive on that side of things?
So I'll tell you on our platform, right? Uh, all the stuff that we did early on, like once the user comes in, collecting the data and nudging them towards positive health, one step at a time, right? Whether it be a follow-up health checkup, whether it be talking to a doctor, whether it be dental consultation, all of this, right? It's consolidated on the platform. Based on AI, we are nudging them towards each step. Our monthly active usage MAU is around 45 to 50%, right? Now that should give you a sense in terms of users who are actually focused on their health, right? And within that, what we've done is actually, once you brush everybody with a broad stroke, right? It doesn't work. It's the
Right.
classic product marketing principle, right?
Right.
Roshan has different needs. Kiran has different needs when it comes to healthcare, right? So the third person has a different needs. But if all of us are getting, pegged into the same box, right? Giving a broad brush, it doesn't work. For you, for example, your health needs might be I just need to stay fit. I just need to go to gym. I just need instant gratification in terms of rewards. And now I don't fall sick even once in 2 years. So for me, what is important is activity, staying fit, calculating my steps and all
Energy.
that. Energy, right? For me, it could be all about, hey, I have a son, I have family, I need to take care of family. And more importantly, I have to be healthy for them to take care of them, in which case I have to constantly get my preventive health checks done once a year to see if there's anything wrong. I have to get my, if I have to reduce my weight or control my diabetes. And for my father, it would be more around, hey, anyways, I'm past that stage. I have few conditions. Anyways, I have to take medication every single day. Anyways, I have to go for a doctor consultation once every 3 months. Is there a way that can help me reduce my costs? Right. So when
Right.
you start segmenting customers in various things, in various buckets, right, then everybody starts feeling that the platform is for them.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's how people start interacting with the platform. It's classic customer segmentation philosophy.
Right. Yeah. So it's very interesting because this is the same thing that you applied for the doctors and the insurance companies as well, where you said that, you don't really have to boil the ocean and get 100% of the doctors on board or 100% of the insurance companies on board. You can find your sweet spot essentially.
Correct.
Now, in this customer segmentation, what is the sort of meaning? I mean, for lay people who are listening to this, what are the different segments within this that you can draw upon?
So we have our internal lingo, right? In terms of the segmentation, uh, the first like 20 to 30 years, 20 to actually 18 to 35 years, we call invincibles, right? So these are the ones who really don't care about health, right? I mean, if you go and tell them, hey, can you go get a health check done? It is sponsored by the company. They'll say, not interested, right? Then there is 30 to 45 years. These are what we call first attack, right? First attack are the people who just got married, had kids, or they saw somebody in the family fall sick, right? Or they saw a fatality where it's starting to play on their mind, right? Which is I have to take care of my health. If you go
Mm.
to a park, you'll see a lot of first attack people walking in the morning, right? Then you call chronically ill, right? These are past that first attack phase where they just have to maintain their health condition, right?
Mm.
And these are, I mean, these are broadly segments. Within this, there are again sub-segments, right?
Mm.
Within this, there is, I mean, there's a whole lot of segmentation that we do within this, right? And that each person has a need, like the classic jobs to be done philosophy, right? Each person has a need, and how do you cater to that need in the easiest, quickest fashion so that they complete that need and then they come back for the follow-on. So that stickiness and that flywheel effect kicks in.
Right. Very interesting. So obviously any discussion right now cannot escape this question, right? How did COVID change, your operations and what did you experience as a founder?
So I'll tell you, we started hearing COVID way before in November itself. No, I mean not November, December, early January itself, right? Saying that we started predicting impact for our business. The reason is today we work with the likes of Netflix, LinkedIn, Nike, eBay, some of our clients, right? So these are US based clients who already started going into lockdowns, right? And that news is starting to spread to India. Indian corporate, their counterparts in India are also contemplating lockdowns, right? And part of that is as we were having discussion with the clients, they were like, how do I manage this? What is COVID? Because we are considered healthcare experts for most of the HR, right? So
Right.
they started asking us what is the status? How do we manage this? And that's how we did a lot of research and by Feb first, second week, we started realizing that some of our clients started going into lockdown.
Mhm.
And we as a company started working from Feb first week itself, work from home. right? Because we realized it is imminent, right? And it is, you go through those three phases, right? First is the shock,
Nayan?
then there is a lot of confusion as to what chaos, and then there is then you come to your senses, and you realize that you have to actually take control of the situation, and then comes the outcome, right? What do I do next? Okay,
Right.
I need to stay calm and figure out the next steps, right? Everybody went through that, including us, right? First is, because I'll tell you, if healthcare service providers, right, as if an employee has to go get a health check done, right, you have to go to a diagnostic center or a hospital, and there is a lockdown, so you
Right.
actually cannot step out to go get a health check done. So that revenue went down the drain for 3 months, right, during the lockdown and post lockdown. Doctor consultations, that revenue went down the drain, then started shifting towards teleconsultation, right? So gyms, so we are integrated with 9,000 gyms across India, right? So that revenue went down the drain, right? So it was like literally the best advice I got was live by the week and figure out, because even the government was changing. I mean, there was a lot of fluidity in terms of what can be done, cannot be done, how
Right.
can we help. So we started providing COVID testing, RT-PCR testing for antibody testing for a lot of our clients. And first and foremost, and then what we did was we did a detailed study in terms of our clients in what would be their requirements, what is it, what is the current state, what would be their requirements for the next 5 to 6 months, right? And started pivoting towards those requirements, right? And part of that was, like I said, COVID testing, monitoring the vitals. Some wanted help with sanitization of their offices, though it was not our core. We tied up with Urban Clap and provided those services, right?
Hmm.
And lot of I mean, lot of fluidity in terms of how to get it done, right? So, but it was an interesting part of that, which actually helped us realize that we need to pivot, not exactly pivot, we need to actually, so we have three revenue lines, right? One revenue line was super strong within the company. The other two revenue lines were just saplings, right? We just sowed the seeds in December, January. We realized that the first revenue line went down to almost one digit revenues, right? That's when we shifted to the other two, and we put all our effort and might on the other two, and within 6 months the other two were coming on par with the first one. So
Wow.
it is figuring out, I mean, taking those decisions on the fly, taking those I would say ballsy decisions, and pivoting and not waiting for things to pan out, right? Uh, and what helped us is the research and the data that uh, we actually foreseen that this would happen. So we did a lot of customer research in terms of what they need and what they would expect, and that's how uh, we were nimble enough to shift.
Right. Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, this is something similar that I've heard across businesses, right? Where COVID has sort of stress tested the fundamentals of a business and also how well you can adapt to other, maybe newer revenue streams and so on and so forth. There have been a lot of changes within healthcare itself as a result of COVID, right? Uh, in your perspective, what are some of those changes that will, you know, stay with us in the time to come?
So one is purely from a healthcare point of view. The lot of health checkups are now moving to home collection. So people realized they don't need to venture out to get a health check done. There is convenience. Somebody will come home, pick up a sample, right? So there is a huge shift in terms of home collections for health checkups. Our teleconsultation grew 400, 500%, right?
Amazing.
I mean,
Yeah.
quarter on quarter. So we had the best quarter, what we call OND, right? October, November, December, in terms of the number of consultations, right? So that has grown pretty rapidly. We realize people now know that they don't have to step out, go to a doctor for 70-80% of the basic queries that they have when it comes to doctor consultation. Then they realize that they don't have to step out to go get medications for, I would say, repeat medicines or medicines that they can predict or they can wait for 2 to 3 days, not the emergency medicines, right? If I have fever, then I can't wait, right? But if I'm taking a chronic Medicare or some medications which I'm taking regularly, I can plan and it will come delivered to your doorstep free of cost at 20% discount without you having to step out. So people realized they can actually, they can get convenience even in healthcare. Right? I mean, this convenience was only talked about in e-commerce and other places, but when you actually look at
Very interesting.
They realize that convenience is available even in healthcare. And if you look at it, an individual spends roughly around 30,000 rupees per annum on preventive health, and all of that is spent across pharmacy, doctor consult, and health checkup. And all the three can be done at home. So why get out, right? So that's the first that we've seen from a health point of view, right? Now, if you look at it from a client point of view, again, going back to Roshan as a CEO of a 500 employee company, all your employees are gone to tier 4 cities, tier 2, tier 1 cities. Previously, you had the luxury of consolidating all your benefits in and around your office. Suddenly, you don't know where they are, and you have to be able to provide those benefits irrespective of their location. So that is where a lot of HR realize they need digital healthcare platforms that they can use to actually drive unified experience for employees irrespective of where and how they're working from, right? And that kind of is changing the behavior. So we had the best quarter in terms of number of companies that we added, clients. So strong tailwinds, I would say.
Fantastic. All right, Kiran, this has been a fascinating conversation. To end things, what are you optimistic for going forward, and what are your future plans like? What should listeners of this podcast know?
So I would say, when it comes to digital health, right, there is still a lot to be done, right? It might sound cliche, but there is huge room for improvement, right? There's tons and tons and tons of problems, right? Anywhere you look at it, you just pick one problem and you go deep into it, you'll find your mojo, right? You'll find the best product that you can build, right? And in terms of what EkinCare, where we are, what our plans are, we still want to stay true to our mission, which is make corporate India healthy, and in future expand to say make Southeast Asia Inc. healthy, right? Which is expand to other Southeast Asian countries, because most of the problem statements that we are seeing in India with unstructured data, fragmented healthcare ecosystem, right? It's true whether you take Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, any other Southeast Asian countries, it's the same problem statement. And when we speak to HR in other countries, they also have this exact same problem statements when it's similar to India as well, right? So we look at actually going deep in India and then expanding outside India.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Kiran. This was a fun chat, and wish you all the best for everything that you have coming up.
Thanks for having me on this show. Take care.
All
Thanks, Roshan. Take care.
All
Thanks, Roshan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this episode, then don't forget to subscribe to us on your favorite platform and share this episode with all of your fellow startup operators. Also, follow the Startup Operator on LinkedIn and Twitter for more updates. Stay safe, take care, and see you soon on a brand new episode of the Startup Operator.